I really want you all to spread this ism, especially in terms of not being led by sex, because you have to really consider the true wickedness in female nature when, as much as you want intercourse, they want intercourse. Okay, cool. Yet they would withhold it strategically merely so they can get the upper hand on you, which you really got to take off your hat to them because they've been able to manage some level of self-control so they can master you because you failed to master yourself. Although I will say I don't condone the ways in which they keep their libido at bay by using all those electronic devices to satisfy themselves. So to the fathers out there, my recommendation, the lesson you must give your daughter is this. Yes, I understand that you will have sexual drive just as the male child has sexual drive. Let me encourage you that you should be very strategic in picking a worthy man as early as possible in your life so that you can secure a mate who can provide for you emotionally, if necessary, financially, in terms of leadership, and in terms of physical satisfaction. So, my dear, if you marry early, you can have all the intercourse you want with your husband. And it is reasonable for you to marry in your early 20s. For those who are married are better educationally, they're better financially, they're better in terms of mental health, and the life expectancy is longer for one who is married. So encourage your daughters to be honest, not duplicitous and two-faced, and to marry early with a worthy man. And you should be the example of what a worthy man is. So she can recognize him when she sees him. She sees a good man and she says, "You just like my daddy. You remind me of my daddy. And my daddy's a great man." And that is why I know what a great man is. I will settle down with you, and then things will be good for her. She doesn't have to be running in the streets. She doesn't have to be lying and pretending. She doesn't have to go on a hot girl summer trip just to get a little bit of human satisfaction. You dig? That is what you must teach the daughter. If your main girl doesn't have anything of value to say, you probably should get a different main girl. Now, I want you all to be aware, we don't expect these women to be scholars. You don't have to be a scholar to be a main girl. You don't have to be a genius to be a main girl. You have to have a reasonable amount of competence so that you can get my business affairs completed. You must have morality so that I can trust you to represent me and our family well. And you must have some level of insight so that you can give me good feedback on my business ideas, on my creative works, and on my general conduct. I would like to hear your opinion. But you don't have to be educated. You don't have to have college degrees, and you don't have to be a deep mind. And there's a lot of times my main is talking and I'm looking at her like, "Are you done?" I'm not trying to. It just comes out and she'll be like, "Okay, you've heard enough." I'm like, "That's right." And I appreciate the fact that she's feminine in that she is able to defer. But her father and her brothers were masculine enough that she knows male and female are different. If I'm going to tell this long story, Marquett don't want to hear the long version. He can deal with the short version. But if I want to tell the long version, let me call up my girlfriend. Let me call up my mother. Because Marquett he got about this much patience for this irrelevant story I'm telling. And also every now and then, you got to give her some ism, which is to let her know, "Hey, love, we don't speak negativity. We don't speak on irrelevant things. We speak on things that add up to the goal. We keep our eyes on the prize. We talk about productivity. We talk about encouragement. We talk about business. We talk about big things. We talk about those goals that we wrote in our JAB journal, which is the journal that Mitchell McCauley's producing. That's what we talk about. You heard me? And we enjoy life. So when you can keep that good leadership, it will enhance her conversation. And don't be afraid to let her know, "I've heard enough." It gets like that. I mean, I've had to tell the chicks, like, "I've heard enough." It's okay. Try Savvy writes, "Aside from a hot girl summer, your thoughts on your main woman traveling with coworkers for work purposes?" That's a good question, Saint, and I can relate to it. Let me be very clear in saying that human beings will find fun wherever they can. Undoubtedly, a work trip will have some fun planned in it or some fun that occurs unexpectedly, whether it's a happy hour, a night on the town, whatever the case is. And generally speaking, coworkers are the same age, same gender, same skill level. And especially if they're going to a work conference or professional development, they're meeting people that are in that same bowl or bucket with them. So yeah, for sure they're going to be going out. So do I like it? Do I trust it? Do I like it? No. Do I trust it? Not really. And at the end of the day, as a man, you have to say, I'm not going to search for evidence of infidelity or deceit. If it comes across my desk, I will address it, but I will not search and I will not be paranoid. I will keep my emotions in check. But if I had to say, if my main chick goes out on a business trip, do I trust what's going on? No, I don't. And here's a note. Me, I know that I am a force. Every man should be a force in their woman's life. I don't drink. When women are around me, if they're main girl material or if they're upright, 9 out of 9, they don't drink, even if they drink in their regular life. When they're around me, they don't drink. When they're around me, they don't consume a bunch of sugars. When they're around me, they lift up their conduct to my level. But when they're not around me, I know that their conduct generally reverts back to where it is, who they really are, because rarely do they make real change. Which is to say, I have a main girl who went out on a business trip and she contacted me and I could tell in her tone that she was slizzard. Did she know I could tell? Maybe she didn't know I could tell. Who knows? But I could tell she was slizzard. I could tell she had been drinking. Was I disappointed? No, because as a wise man, I have the ability to anticipate. You cannot dominate unless you can anticipate. So I expected that. You must be able to look at the chessboard and anticipate the moves of the person on the other side of that chessboard and estimate within this margin of error, is this something I can deal with? These behaviors she's likely to engage in, is this something I can deal with? Make that decision. The saint further writes, if the dad was a liar, toxic, and abusive, more likely the daughter would be or seek that. Well, if the girl has not gotten over the trauma, if the female has not overcome the trauma, then surely she will continue rehashing it, discussing it, needing to see a therapist, trying to relive those experiences, seeking men who are like her father, being damaged, in other words. Yes, it is more likely that will be the case. Undoubtedly, you want to judge females one by one, but there's a likelihood that if you have one plant and you pour water to nourish the plant is going to grow up and be healthy. If you have another plant and you're pouring Mountain Dew into the soil, well, it's unlikely that plant is going to grow up strong, healthy, and well-adjusted. Your inputs result in outputs. If you input bad things, you will usually output bad things. It is a rare bird who takes the responsibility to say, I, as an adult woman, choose to be more than I was raised to be. And I do want to acknowledge that there are those women who will come to a wise man and say, you are unlike any man I've ever known, and I would like to follow your way. I have a couple of them. I even have a couple that I won't even let come into my sphere, you heard me? Because they think they're ready to submit and to learn, but they're not.